Alright, people. How are you guys doing today? This is the Fallout whatever. Hold on. This is Fall. Whatever Fallout? No, Fallout whatever. I'm screwing up on my own names, but it doesn't matter. My name is Fallout whatever. Okay, bingo. And today we're going to be talking about a new what if. One which I think I'm already sure that people already made it. And today it's going to be what if Deku was the new god of war. And before we begin, how we're gonna do this, and if this sounds like anybody else's what if, then you know what, you guys might as well tell me, because I don't want to be like, I want to, if that person does tell me that it's like his, and he actually shows me proof, like some words or like some of his ideas was already there, then I will apologize. I will apologize to the best of my abilities, because I do not like making stories that are exactly the same. I want to have a story where something is much more different than other people. But if it happens to be the same, if it happens, I want you guys to tell me. I believe in you guys. I believe in you. We have 210. I have 210 subscribers, and I feel happy. Like I said, if you guys keep subscribing, guess what? I'll pick any one of y'all's. I mean, if you might be the first. Here's the thing: if you're the first comment, then you're on there. And if you have a lot of likes on your comment, you're second place. And if there's an idea that I really like, I'll use it. That's third place. So, anyone could probably win. Well, that's only on when I have 500 subscribers. So, believe me, I'll do it. It'll be hard. Freaking, what if Deku went to Narnia? No. That's something I wouldn't be able to do. But this is not the point. The point is, today, Deku's going to be the god of freaking war. I can't curse right now. I don't like cursing all the time on my what ifs. Makes it feel eh. Anyway. So how we're going to do this is, let's call the men and women with quirks. There's a few less men besides women. So it's not like all women. It's like, what's called, men are much more likely to not have it, but they do have another quirk, which would probably be like it's called like enhanced stamina, or probably enhanced eyesight, or like enhanced in their body, swinging that Johnson, son. I'm sorry. But yeah, something like that. If it's an enhancement. So it's much more rare for guys to have like an ice quirk or a fire quirk. And it's much more easier for women to have it. And what else? Let's say out of 10 men and 10 women, there's like there's 7% chance for women to have much more quirks. Like, meaning women have more women have better quirks, like throwing acid or freaking earplugs instead of enhancements. And men, it's 3%, or it's like 3 out of 10 guys will have quirks like Bakugos or Kirishimas or Seros or something like that. This means that it's much more that men and women, they're still equal, but women, like, since they have more, they don't really care. But it's just like more the fact that if you have a better quirk instead of an enhancement, that could get you possibly, you know, it's much, those guys are much more rarer, and women would like them more than somebody who has better eyesight. Like, better eyesight's like, you can be a sniper in the military. That's that kind of stuff right there. Enhanced smelling, oh sheesh, we have a bloodhound. Or if you have an enhanced, you know what? You might be a pimp. So, hey, the sky's the limits. But for men, it's more like the limit's the sky. So anyway, Deku, should I give him that? Oh, okay. So, no. If he becomes the God of War, he's gonna have it. So you know what? He doesn't have a quirk. He stays quirkless, which means he's more in the bottom. I mean, there's no freaking way to even. There's no way to get more bottom. So Deku goes, and he has mostly the same kind of childhood, except that it's much more worse. Heroes probably treat quirkless people much more differently than they will treat a quirked person. And a lot of people don't expect that to be an issue because heroes will still save them. Well, it's like, if somebody has a quirk, let's say this, if you have $1 million and somebody has no, like, somebody's poor, who do you think the cop is going to save? They're going to save the rich person. That's the kind of world that's a bit like, that's how much this world is now. So Deku cries a lot. He becomes much more sad. He's unable to feel happiness because when he was born, the doctors told Inko, you know what, Hisashi's gonna be in this one. Or, I don't know, is his name Hanzo or is his name Hisashi? You know what, Hanzo, that sounds like a better name. That sounds much more manlier. So Hanzo tells his wife, Inko, that it's okay, we're gonna love him still, and we're going to, you know, we're going to love him and show him that it doesn't matter if he doesn't have a quirk or not. We will still be here for our child. I don't want to have anybody else think of him as any less than he could probably be in the future. Oh, wait a minute. He has to be 4 for this one. So you know, he's 4. Hanzo is still there and all that stuff. And that's when he tells him. And Deku, he already knew he was going to be probably quirkless because he kept telling everybody he was probably a late bloomer. And now that people found out, this is when Deku gets bullied much more harder. I mean, much more harder. Bakugo, he doesn't actually hate him at all. It's more like him just wanting to bully him. Because if he doesn't, it's like, you know, because in this one, let's just say Bakugo doesn't have that much hatred towards Deku because they were friends, and Deku let what's called Bakugo be in charge all the time. So Bakugo didn't actually hate him at all. But because of how people in society is, you know, so that's when he decided, if I just bully him a little bit, it won't hurt, right? There's nothing wrong going to happen. And that's simply not the case. Deku becomes much more depressed. This is actually gonna be sad in what's called the first one. 2 and 3, and I'll probably go do up to 20. That'll probably be it. What if like parts? Because I'm gonna really try on this one. Deku feels this heartbreak. Deku feels the stuff. You know what? We're gonna give Bakugo a sister. That's it. You know what? We're just gonna give her a sister. I feel like, yeah, she's gonna have he's gonna have a sister, just because freaking, let's say they're twins, all right? They have twins, and they both have the exact same quirk. So, the daughter's name is, instead of Katsuki, it's Kataki. Katsuki Bakugo. And Katsuki Bakugo, she's like a tomboy. And she likes Deku. Yeah, it's gonna be a Bakugo's sister, ex-Deku. Or ex-the god of freaking war. Anyway. What time is it? Yeah, I'm gonna stay awake super long. This is probably gonna be a good 30 minutes here. Alright. So anyway. Bakugo picks on him. He doesn't bully him, like freaking kick him to the ground. And Deku feels sad, but Katsuki, his sister, is taking care of him, or at least tending to his wounds. And she fights with Bakugo at times, like telling her to ease up on Deku. He doesn't deserve this. And Bakugo saying, I know, it's like, he knows, but it's like, deep down inside, he knows also if they don't, if I don't pick on him or something, they're probably gonna think, that I'm okay with this weakling. That's what they're probably gonna think. So because, so he thinks that if he doesn't bully Deku, then he sympathizes with him, meaning, he's like a weirdo too. And Bakugo, he wants to have like an image as like the awesomest kid in the world or something like that. So he just does it. And Izuku breaks down little by little. Just like glass when it's being tapped on with a hammer, it's bound to break. When they become 10, Deku still gets bullied by Bakugo, and over the years, Katsuki really loves him, or at least starting to have like much more deeper feelings for him. But Deku's blushes around her at times, but he doesn't actually think any of it. He's just thinking, this might be just puppy love or something. And how wrong he is. So anyway, he talks with her a little bit more, and Bakugo, let's say they're in class, Bakugo throws a paper ball at him. And Katsuki what's called gets mad at him, she sizzles or at least heats up the ball enough to become like fire, and he throws it at his head. And Deku sees this and he's kind of laughing a little. The more what's called, even though he's gone or he's like trying to get the fire out, Deku's like kind of laughing and like feeling a little bit better. Everybody doesn't like or thinks everybody in the school thinks that she's kind of weird, except for three other people, which we don't we know very well. And Deku's thinking to himself, she's very nice to me. I'm glad I have her in my life. And Bakugo, after seeing him laughing, he's kind of relieved, but at the same time, he still has his anger. Thinking to himself, why is he laughing at me? So, what's it called? Deku gets, what's it called? A book thrown at him. And Deku's feeling a little shocked because Deku just gets picked on. Now this turns up to bullying. It's starting to slow down. It's starting to what's called pick up the pace and become a little bit more like bullying, because Deku didn't what's called realize what he did or what his laughing causes now. So little by little, Deku gets now bullied instead of picked on. And Deku's kind of gets even more sad. Why would what's called Kachan be doing this to me? He thinks. He usually just what's called pokes at me and just calls me names at times, but now he's throwing stuff and he's becoming much more physical. And he's having like Bakugo is having this kind of image in his head, thinking to himself, well, it's not like it's gonna hurt. It's not like it's gonna hurt him as much, so I'm not gonna hurt him too badly. Just make sure he feels just a little bit of pain, and it slowly but surely graduates into punching him in the arm, tripping him, burning his clothes little by little. Deku started to feel hurt even more, but yet he can't stop it. So Deku's just walking around school. Then he goes into the cafeteria with Katsuki. No, wait, she's not there for now. She's somewhere else. And Deku sits in one of the tables that are empty. And Bakugo, sees Deku and says, "Hey, nerd, why are you eating alone?" And Deku says, "Don't worry, I'm just waiting for Katsuki." And some of the students kind of looked at him like weird, like, wait a minute, he just talked to him like he didn't call him senpai or something, like, because, like I said, this is like a much more cruel world. So even though he didn't, even not addressing him, addressing what's called either one of them as a higher up, because he's literally the bottom of the food chain. Like, he's under Mineta. He's lower than Mineta. That's how people see people. see quirkless people. If you're under Mineta, then it's like, I'm not talking about like season 2. I'm talking about like perverted, super, I don't know, something pervert Mineta. So yeah, he's treated like scum. And everybody's waiting to see what's going to happen, but Bakugo just gets up. He has he has his tray. And he grabs his milk out of the tray. And he throws chocolate milk. Or not, he doesn't throw it, he spills it onto Deku's head. And he says, the next time you tell me that again, I'm going to make sure you feel pain. Or he won't say nothing like that. He'll say, if you say that again, if you don't call me senpai the next time, I'm gonna make sure you get, or something like that. He might say, I'll explode you or something like that, or you'll feel explosions. And Deku is now in much more shock because nobody's helping him. Not even one person's feeling pity. And Deku just says, why do you keep treating me like this? I never done nothing to you. We were friends back then. You didn't hurt me or anything like that. You just picked on me. But now you just keep bullying me. Why do you keep doing this? And Bakugo's kind of taken aback by this. Deku's kind of crying, but Bakugo sees this. And now, Bakugo's thinking to himself, you're kind of right. He's thinking to himself this. He thinks that Deku's actually kind of right. He didn't treat him bad like this back then. Only now he's treating him like this. But at the same time, he's also thinking to himself, if he doesn't, then he's going to be looked down upon by society or by the school. And this is when Bakugo regrets the decision he's going to make. He just says, well, the next time, if you die, or, hold on, I'll say that. He'll probably tell him to jump off. If you jump off, then probably you'll you'll probably have at least an enhancement type quirk if you are even lucky. And him choosing that route causes him to just break. He's not suicidal like emo or anything. He just now knows that not even somebody back then who was at least friends with him at first, somebody like that, he thought that he would at least not be like disgusted with Deku, but now he sees that people are going to look at him that way because the one thing he doesn't have, the one thing that sets him apart, it's a quirk. Not even an enhancement type quirk, which even anybody could have. Deku doesn't even have like super vision, super smell, super enhanced speed. what's called, not even durability or something like that, even something mediocre. He's what's called, Bakugo just says it doesn't matter. You're just a pathetic person. You shouldn't have even been born. You should have just died. Probably in the next life. And then he just punches him in the head. Deku gets knocked out. Deku is crying in a bit. He's knocked out, but he's crying little by little. Tears are going into his eyes, or tears are coming out of his eyes. And Bakugo just gets out of the room, gets out of the cafeteria. He kind of regrets what he did, but he just knows it's to keep his image. It won't hurt if I just punch him. So what if I just punched him? He's not gonna do nothing. And if I just don't punch him hard enough, he won't feel what's called hurt or feel a lot of pain. So Deku's thinking to himself, I want to just jump. Maybe this whole world doesn't even need me. Maybe I just led a mediocre life. I probably shouldn't have just... Hold on. I probably should have just... Sorry. I probably should have just been homeschooled. Two people who cared about me back then, or even I even care about a lot. She still doesn't see me as anything but what's called Deku. She sees me for me, and she doesn't care about me having no quirk. On the other hand, the person who I cared about doesn't even see me at all as a human. He sees me more as a monster or a pathetic worm. Deku is feeling this pain inside of his chest, which no person, he believes, should ever have to feel this pain. And then Katsuki walks in and she sees what happened. And she sees just only Deku on the floor. Everybody's just eating. Some people are just looking at him in disgust. And a couple of people are just laughing, saying, what's called, nothing bad happened. He just didn't get his supply of milk. And other people are like, oh yeah, he probably just fell. He's just staying where he belongs, right? On the floor. And some people are just saying, well, if he's that thirsty, some of them spit on the floor just thinking, yeah, he'll probably just drink it, you know? He should be honored. And Katsuki feels this overwhelming anger. But right now she has to just take him into the nurse's office. And Deku has nothing more than just resentment for Bakugo. Resentment for a living. Resentment for even life itself. How this world is. He really wants it to change, but yet he was born with nothing. So Katsuki just takes him into the nurse's office, and the nurse isn't there. So what's called Katsuki sees what's called a bed, and she puts him on him. She puts him on there, and Deku's awake, seeing what's happening, and she says, "Don't worry, I'm here for you. You don't have to worry at all." And she goes to, let's say, to the cafeteria to get some ice. And Deku's all like, "Oh, okay." And he's thinking to himself, "I don't want to live anymore." He just keeps contemplating that thought into his head until he feels this drowning inside of his heart, telling himself he doesn't want to live. Living is just for the strong, and I don't even have a quirk, so nobody will give me a chance at life. I realize I can't even be a hero like All Might. Maybe this world doesn't need me. He gets up with the little strength that he has, and he starts walking out the nurse's office, and he sees the stairs, and he starts going up on there, and then he goes up again, and he keeps going to each hallway and up another set of stairs. And since it's 4 stories big, he gets into the roof, and he sees the sky. Sorry. And he sees the sky. He sees how beautiful it looks. How the orange just goes with the blue. How the clouds look so fluffy. How the wind feels so nice. How the smell of fresh air makes his lungs feel all joyous. But then he realizes again that it's better just to sleep in the darkness. It's better to just live. No, he thinks to himself, it's better just to die than to live this horrible life. And he remembers some of the things that he has with, with his mom and his freaking dad. And then he just slips. He was about to probably think, I'm probably too scared. Because he was on the ledge. And he wasn't thinking like straight, so he still had he was still drenched in milk and like other liquids from freaking the other 2 kids, which I think I should have just put that on there as well, but I kind of forgot. And his right foot just slipped, and he tried to get the handlebars, but he realized that he got over the freaking handlebars with his clothes being wet. So gripping it was no use. And the one thing that he remembers was a couple of faces. A couple of students' faces that didn't look at him like he was skunk, who talked to him a couple of times and treated him at least okay, and not like, oh, here, just take this paper. and sometimes Deku would talk to these people. And what's called the people that don't like him just usually said, "Go, go away," or "I don't want to talk to you," or "Just leave me alone." But these I think 4 to 5 students, they didn't look at him at all like that. They just looked at him and said, "Oh, okay, here. Is that all?" And just said, "Have a good day." He thinks about these people because in his final moments, because he thinks there is at least some good in life. And then he sees Katsuki, and she is in his mind a lot. The one person who was kind, who didn't even harbor who harbored no ill will to her. He wished that he could have at least said sorry for leaving so soon. And yeah, that's pretty much it right there. Let's just give it something. 2:25 p.m. October the 3rd, 20 something, 21 something. Izuku Midoriya dead. And let's see. You know, I'm gonna make this an hour long. All right. So Deku is in this cold world, which, you know what? Time is much more freaking slower. You know, when I did the freaking my other what if Deku had an RPG quirk? Well, time is like that. Time is different in different dimensions. Sheesh. You probably 15 seconds. Somebody's like 200 years old. Something like that. So anyway, Deku is awake, and he looks around and sees let's call a couple of people. But what he sees is he sees an old man. His beard is kind of grayish. He has tattoos on his skin. His skin is white, like ash. Yeah, this is the god of freaking war. So, he says, "Boy, boy, come here." Like I said, I don't know how to copy people's voices. So anyway, Deku's all like, where am I? Am I dead? And Kratos, yeah, you guys know it's gotta work. Kratos says yes and no. But I jumped off. I should be dead. I shouldn't. Should I? I don't know. Wait a minute here. I just jumped off the roof. And Kratos says, yes, you have got on top of the roof. You have got, stood on the ledge, but you didn't jump. You cowered out on the last second. But you probably slipped when you were drenched in whatever. Because Kratos actually sees a lot in this world. But he sensed Deku because he sensed he sensed pain of losing, which Kratos can understand. And he sees this kind of sadness which he knows. And he does say this: "My name is Kratos. Who might you be?" And Deku says, "My name is Izuku Midoriya." And Kratos goes, sorry. Kratos goes, "Izuku Midoriya. Well, I never got your name, but now at least I know. Listen here, young man. I have chosen to die. I do not want to live anymore. I want to go into wherever the dead may be in peace." And Deku says, "Speaking of place, where are we?" And Kratos says, "We are at my cabin, or at my home." And he sees, "I see you have 2 beds. Do you have a partner, or do you have a are you a kind of hero or something?" He thinks that he's like Deku's like a hero. But he says, "No, I am not one of those things that you call heroes. I am the god of war." And Deku thinks, "Wait, a god of war? What's a god of war?" And Kratos says, "It is a power that's been bestowed by me, which I use to defeat gods." And Deku's kind of shocked, like, "Wait, how'd you know what I was thinking?" And he says, "It doesn't take a genius to know what you probably think, since you mortals always think stuff like this." And Deku's thinking to himself, "Wait, mortals?" And then Kratos says, "Yes, I am what you would call a demigod. Hold on. I am what you may call a demigod, or just known as a god for short. We can die, but we're much more superior in strength, speed, and other things that may be used in a fight to kill." And Deku thinks to himself, "Oh, well, it's nice to meet you, Mr. Kratos, sir." Yeah. And Kratos says, "Yes, likewise. Now, you said you don't have these powers. What might I say? Might I add? Or what are these powers? What are they called?" Deku explains the whole quirk situation and what's happening, and Kratos thinks to himself, "Well, the humans have advanced so much." And he says, "Well, young man, since I want to die, but I cannot if I have these powers, I have to pass it on to a successor. And I think you may be a good candidate." And Deku's all like, "Wait, what? What do you mean candidate? Hold on, what do you mean candidate? I'm quirkless. I can't be known as a god of war." And he says, "This is not a quirk, young man. Or this is not a quirk, boy. This here is a power that the gods themselves wish that they haven't made. I have the power to defeat any of my foes, to harbor strength to even defeat a giant or a titan. I have the power to defeat gods themselves. But Deku's like thinking to himself, gods themselves? Is he? What is he? And Kratos thinks to himself, I can hear you, and I am known as a god for the last time. Okay, where was I left off again? Oh. Deku sees that this Kratos character isn't lying to him. I mean, he thinks that Kratos is not lying to him because he doesn't see him as disgusting, or he doesn't see him for his quirk. He's just talking to him like a normal human being. And Kratos says, here, I have seen you taking hits, and I've seen you taking a lot more. I know that you must train really hard. So I will train you myself to become the strongest. Now, you may not be almighty, but you will have the power that you were searching for. I have lost so much with these powers, and I have gained much as well. And Deku says, what have you gained? I've lost a daughter. I loved her so much, but yet I've forsaken her. She's in a world where she'll never be harmed by anybody. And I gained a son. I'm sorry. Dismiss. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. I did not. If you guys heard that, I'm sorry. If you guys heard that, then I'm sorry. So anyway, Deku says, I've gained a son who has been here with me for a long time, but he's now gone. And Deku says, oh, I'm sorry for your loss. And Kratos says, no, it's not like that. He has gone off to do his own things, for now he is a god as well. Sorry, I was drinking some H2. Anyway, Deku says, oh, you gods can be made by other gods? And he says, yes, we weren't just born this way, we were made one way or another. And Deku says, well, where is he now? He says, and Kratos says, well, he's somewhere. I do not know, but I can sense that he's still alive, which means he's going to have a good life ahead of him if he chooses to stay on that path. I will be there from time to time to at least guide him as well. But enough talk. You must train me, boy. And Deku is given a sword. And no, not the Blades of Chaos. Or not the, what's called, Axe of, what's called, 20 troll. The troll. I forgot what that one was called. The Frozen Axe. We'll just call it that. And Deku trains with Kratos by learning how to swing, learning how to punch, learning how to kick. Because if you guys didn't know this, give me a second. I need some H2O. okay. So he trains. Oh, by the way, he was called Spartans back then knew how to fight. Not like freaking punching, but they also knew how to kick. Because what's called they learned a lot from different parts of the world. Yeah, people thought it was just like freaking punching and just swinging. But no, they were actually much more advanced than that, at least through combat levels. So anyway, Deku just learns how to fight. He trains every day, which he doesn't actually age a bit because of how time is weird, which Kratos explained like that a couple of times. And let's just say it's called Katsuki, because he's going to probably be 2,000 years old, 3,000 years old. So yeah, that's about a good day right there. And Deku is training a lot. He's learning how to swing. He's learning how to fight. He's strong enough to at least handle the God of War 2%. And Kratos sees him improving every day. And Kratos knows why. Because when he saw him get bullied, even called name, usually people would just break down so much. Would break down to the point of just agonizingly crying all the time. But Deku just kept it hidden till that day. Well, he's cried a couple of times, but he didn't just always just like cried and just like after that. He held it in, which Kratos sees he keeps his emotions in check. Which, if you guys don't know anything about the game, Atreus, the son, didn't keep his emotions in when he was Deku's age. He's probably like 37 or something. Or Atreus is he's old, but he's still alive. Mostly he's immortal because, you know, he's a god. So anyway, Deku says, okay, so I'm much more stronger now, sir. Which he's like, he looks 20. Because what's called Kratos just like stopped time for him to at least do that. And Deku sees everything that's happened. And he sees the other world, his original world. And he saw Katsuki crying, holding Deku's lifeless body, and feeling the agonizing pain. And Deku says, I will still train. I still have somebody to at least care for. And if you guys don't, hold on, what time is it? Yeah, I'm still gonna keep it up. What happened was, Kazuki saw the trail of milk and water, and like he saw like the footprints, and he went up. She went and followed it till the point where she saw the roof, and she saw Deku right there on the floor with his eyes open, which she feels like is staring right at her, which she feels like he's staring right at her. So now Deku sees this and he's like, I'm sorry, Katsuki. We will meet soon. And what's called Katsuki, what's called jumps down from the roof, and she's using her explosions to like make sure she doesn't fall too fast. So she lands at least good. She lands it a little perfectly, and she sees Deku. She keeps telling him to wake up, wake up, and tears are just flowing through her eyes. And they're all on Deku's cheeks now, which Deku in the other world could feel it, and she kept crying a lot. She called the ambulance, and they carried Deku's body in a body bag. And Katsuki called the parents and just said, well, what happened? I'm sorry. So she calls the parents, and Iko and Hanzo are equally just as sad. And Deku literally, the moment they heard that, they thought they might as well just not live, or not that. They decided to just leave the house and just live somewhere else. Which they did it super fast because they didn't have a lot. So it was just like packing clothes. There's not even a lot of furniture, so they decided just to move somewhere else. And they just went to America. Which is actually that's like super sad. So anyway, Deku sees all this and he's like, I think this is for the best. They should live somewhere where they won't have to deal with me. And Kratos actually has the ability to make people forget about their own people. He used it probably a couple of times, but he's never actually just like used it every day. So it's like Kratos does ask him, boy, are you sure? He doesn't call him boy anymore, he calls him Mizuku, are you sure? Because he's now going to have the God of War powers soon. And Deku says, yes, let them have a happier life. I think that's what they should deserve. Deku just, Kratos just like, uses some kind of magic inside of his hands, and Deku feels that the emotions coming to him, and he's just keeping it inside. Deku, looks down the ground and says, I'm ready to use your powers. So Kratos waits for a while and spars with him one last time. And they start sparring, punching each other, kicking, using their swords, learning using their shields, using the powers, which Deku, he's going to have, instead of fire and ice, he's going to have wind. And wind and fire, because ice is like hereditary from Kratos, because I think his ice became stronger because he lives in colder climates, so it's like he can use the axe, but he can also use his power since he lived in the cold for so long. Anyway, And Deku beats Kratos, not using his God of War state, which is actually a Spartan kind of fight. So, anyway, Deku, what's called, wins. Says, I think I'm ready now, Kratos. And Kratos looks up at him and says, well, I guess I lost. And Izuku feels this wave of emotions and tells Kratos, you told me before about your scar or about your tattoo. Is there any way that I could have it? Or at least can you do the same and give me a tattoo like yours? And Kratos looks at him and he reminds him of himself back then. With the determination in his eyes, he smiles and says, alright, boy. God of War, Izuku. Here. And Deku receives the tattoo, which it took a while. So, oh sheesh, a freaking water bottle. Deku sees, or no, he has a six-pack, muscular arms. I mean, like, you could see veins popping out of this dude. And Deku gets his powers, and Kratos says, you remind me of my son. And I know the future, it might be at least hard. But I believe this is a power, this is a gift that may be suited for you. And with that, he gives him a hug. And he says, make me proud, God of War, Izuku. And chains start coming out and binding onto Izuku's arms. Him feeling the pain of fire bending into his will, which, if you guys don't know, Izuku's gonna have fire and wind. Anyway, the fire's going and scorching his arms. Deku feels the pain, but he knows it's nothing anymore. That doesn't even cause him to blink. Even though he's in pain, he doesn't care. But he still does feel weak from its power. And he drops into his knees. But the moment he does, his skin is not brown or yellow. It is now ash white from the burdens of the God of War, Kratos. And with that, we have the new God of War, Izuku Midoriya. But he's taking out that name Midoriya. And now he's going to give himself another one. Izuku Spartacus. Which, now I may say, we're at an end. There's going to be more parts to this. Probably 20, probably 10. I don't care. This will happen again. But anyway, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.